In this design, waist dot is converted into multiple waist dots at waistline. This design consists of 3 dots in the left front and 3 dots in the right front. The single waist dot is converted into 3 dots. Note that dot near to the center is pointing towards apex point. Next 2 dots are equally distributed towards side seam. Back bodies consist of one single waist dot on either side and one shoulder dot. Let's see how to make division of waist dot. Use waist dot sloper. Label A and B at waist dot legs. Draw a slash line from underarm to apex point and label C at side seam. Slash C to apex point. Close the waist dot by pivot at apex point and move point A to B, which makes underarm dot at side seam. Draw a slash line from apex point to waist seam and label D at waist seam. Draw another parallel slash line from the dot leg to waistline and label E at waistline. Draw one more parallel slash line and label F at waistline. Slash D to apex point. Slash from E to dot leg on the slash line. Slash from F to dot leg on the slash line. Spread at the waistline so that the underarm dot closes at the side seam. Spread should be more at D, which is pointed towards the bust. Through the side seam, trace the pattern as highlighted. Reduce the dot length half an inch from apex point. Division of waist dot completed. Now let's discuss about division of basic waist dot. In this lesson, waist dot is converted into multiple dots by slash and spread techniques without affecting the fitting. Use waistline dot sloper and mark A and B at the dot legs. Then mark C 1.5 inch below the armpit. Draw a plot line from C to bust point. Slash the line. Now pivot at the bust point, move A to B. Pivot at the bust point, move A to B. Then pin it securely. Now mark this point as D. Draw a line D to bust point. Then you decide how many dots you required at the waist level. Here I am going to demonstrate 3 dots at the waist level. So, one dot we already mark, there is a slash line. Then you can draw another 2 dots. D to E, mark 1 inch. At the dot leg, mark 1.5 inch. Draw the plot line. Now I am going to draw the another plot line, which is going to be my third dot. Mark 1 inch at the waist level, 1.5 inch at the dot leg, and label as F. Draw the plot line. Now slash the plot lines, slash from bottom of waist to dot leg, stop 1/16 below the dot leg. Similarly, slash the third line also. Now remove pins and spread the points D, E, F. Go and touch the C and spread F and E equally, and D should be more because this dot is going to the bust point. So, bust point need more dot width. It may not exactly touch at the end, wherever it is coming, maybe 1/8 or 1/4 inch will be inside. Make sure you are spreading F and E equally. One inch. I am spreading 1 inch, 1 inch. And put pins. Now you have to trace the pattern. Trace all the corners. Draw the armhole. Draw the neckline. Draw the dot legs. The length of the dot you can reduce 1 inch to get a smoother fit. So I am marking 1 inch down on the center line, 1 inch down, 1 inch down. Then mark the bust point. Once you completed all the marking, you can remove the working pattern. Connect the shoulder line. Join the side seam. Side seam should be straight. Draw the center front line. Connect the dot legs. Now we can cut the pattern. For truing the dot, leave 1 inch extra at the waist level. Then take the pattern out. Mark the midpoint. Draw the middle line of the dot. Crease the dot leg which is nearer to the center. Crease the center of dot. Fold the dot. Cup the pattern by closing all the dots. Then draw the smooth waistline. Then use the French curve for the truing of the waistline. Now we converted a waist dot into multiple waist dot. Now you learn how to convert single waist dot into multiple waist dot.
This video shows how to stitch the garment. Stitch the waist dots as shown. Stitch the shoulder and side seam. Now it is showing how the pattern fit on the body after stitching. Now you can see the relation between garment and the body. This gives you similar fit like basic bodies. The dot which is near to the center goes to the apex point and other dots are equally distributed. Let us consider these two models. The first one is the basic bodies. The second is division of waist dot. The overall fitting and shape is the same in the both the cases. You may use your own basic bodies pattern or download the front bodies from the downloading section. As per the given instructions, divide single waist dot into 3 equal dots using slash and spread or pivot technique. The final pattern will be similar to the one shown in the video. You may download the final pattern from the download section and compare your final patterns. Construct pattern for a garment with 3 dots from armhole towards bust point. The first dot will start from mid of the armhole and other dots are equal distance as shown in the video. This design comprises 3 parallel dots called clusters in both sides of front bodies. The middle dot is pointing towards apex point. Other dots are placed parallel to the middle dot. The back bodies is basic.
Now we are going to see how to make dot clusters. Use waist dot sloper. Label A and B at dot legs. Mark 1 inch below the apex point on the dot leg and draw 1 inch perpendicular line. Draw 1 inch parallel line to the dot leg to the waist seam. Do the same for other side also. Join the slash lines to the apex point. Cut the slash lines from waist to apex point. Spread at waist to make dot cluster. Spread more on the middle dot, which is pointed towards the bust point. Redraw the side dot by reducing half an inch from the horizontal line as shown. Do the same for other side of the dot. Redraw the middle dot by reducing half an inch from the horizontal line. Trace the pattern as highlighted. Dot cluster pattern completed. Now we are going to learn how to make dot clusters. Dot clusters is a group of dots normally parallel to each other. Length of the dots will be equal. Cluster can be converted into dot text and pleats. To make dot cluster, I am using single waistline dot sloper and mark A and B at the dot legs. From the bust point, mark 1 inch down at the dot leg and mark 1 inch outside for both the dot legs. Mark 1 inch down, 1 inch outside. Similarly, mark 1 inch on both the dot legs. Draw a parallel line. Then connect to the bust point. First mark 1 inch down, then 1 inch outside for both the sides and draw a line like this. Once your plotting lines are over, slash the lines. First slash the parallel line, then slash up to bust point, stop 1/8 before the bust point. Similarly, slash the other side of the dot. Now pivot at the bust point and spread the dot. Both spread it equally. Once you spread equally, secure with pins. Now we can trace the pattern. Mark the corner points. Mark the dot legs. Draw the armhole. Draw the neckline. Mark the bust point. Once you completed all the marking, you can remove the working pattern. Draw the center front line. Draw the shoulder line. Draw the side seam line. Draw the dot endpoint half an inch below the provisional line.
Draw the end of the dot half an inch below the line. Mark midpoint. Here on the dot leg. The middle one on the midpoint. Here same on the line. Here same on the line. Then once you completed all the marking, you remove your working pattern. Connect the dot legs. Cut the pattern. To true the dot, leave 1 inch extra. Now we have to fold the dot. Mark the midpoint of the dot. Crease the dot leg near to the center front. Crease the center of the dot. Cup the pattern.
Use the French curve to make a smooth shape, starting at right angle here. Then cut the pattern. Now we have a 3 parallel dot which is called dot clusters. This also can be used for making a pleat and dot tucks. Now you learn how to make dot cluster from the single waist dot.
This video shows how to stitch the garment. Close all 3 dots in the front, close back dots, stitch shoulder and side seam, now showing the simulation of garment fitting once stitching is completed. From the side view for better understanding. This shows fitting of the garment. The fit is very similar to the basic body's fit. The center dot goes towards apex point and other dots are parallel to center dot. The first design shows single waist and shoulder dot at the front and back bodies. The second design, there are 3 waist dot clusters in either side of the front bodies and a single waist and shoulder dot at back bodies. While comparing these two designs, you may notice that the fit of cluster is more smooth at the bust area compared to the basic pattern fitting. Use your own pattern or download front bodies from download section. As per the given instructions, convert single waist dot into 3 waist dot clusters. The final pattern will look like this after converting single dot into clusters. You may download the final pattern to check the cluster pattern. Use basic bodies pattern, convert the dots to single shoulder dot and create dot clusters at shoulder as shown here. Now let's discuss how dot length affect the fitting. You may see that there are 3 garments The first one, the dot length is till the bust point. The second, dot length reduced half an inch from the bust point, and third one, dot length reduced 1 inch from the bust point. All are made from similar pattern, only dot length changes. Even if you change the dot length, thus you can clearly see that the fitting was changed. First one, you can see very pointed in the bust point. Second one, little bit smoother at the bust point. Third one, more smooth at the bust point. This was the fitting of the bust dot, which is till the bust point. You can see that it shows very pointed at the apex point. Normally, the dot is reduced half an inch to 1 inch to get a smoother fit at the bust point. The other variations, this design, the dot length reduced half an inch from the bust point, and see how it is fitting. Showing the simulation, and it has a little bit of round shape in the bust level. Compared to the pointed, it has a little smooth at the bust area. It shows the relationship. You can see it very clearly. The dot length reduced half an inch from the apex point. In this design, the dot length is reduced 1 inch from the bust point, so that the fitting will be more smoother at the bust point. This is showing the comparison of all three dots. The first one, dot till the bust point. The second one, dot half an inch reduced from the bust point. Third one is dot length reduced 1 inch from the bust point. So you can see the clear difference between these three fittings. The same pattern, only dot length changed affect the fitting. This design shows dot tucks. You can use the same pattern with a dot. Instead of stitching the dot legs fully from waist to bust point, you stitch only off or less than that where you require. That is off stitched dot. So it will give the fitting till the stitching level. After that it will be open, so it will give some smooth effect. Normally dot excess will be inside the garment, you can keep outside also. In this some videos, to make it visible clearly, it's shown outside, but normally it will be inside the garment. This design shows the pleats. You can create a pleats with the pattern which has a dot. Instead of closing the dot from bottom to top, just close only at the bottom at the waist level. Rest will be leave open. This will form pleats it will give only fitting at the waist level, balance it will be open, and it will be smooth finish on the top. You can use the dot pattern to create a pleat. This design shows gathering. Dot pattern can be used instead of dot, that can be converted into gathering, so it will give the fitting at waist level. So it will give fitting only at the waist level, and it will add fullness on the top, so you will have a smooth round effect. You can see that how gathering is forming. The dot is open and it will convert into gathering, so that it will add fullness above the gathering. It gives the fitting only at the waist level. You can see the smooth round effect on top of it. So you can find lot of excess fabric below the underbust level. It normally add fullness, more fullness. This design shows flare. The dot is not stitched here, even at the waist level. Just omit the dot in the pattern, gives you flare at the bottom. So you can see lot of excess fabric under bust level and at waist level. This is showing how flare is formed in the model. So the dot is eliminated, and without stitching the dot, if you stitch shoulder, side seam, it will give flare at bottom. Then you can see lot of excess fabric at the waist level. You can see it very clearly how much excess fabric you can find at the waist level and under bust level. So if you want this effect, the same pattern, dot pattern, can be used, and just eliminate the dot will give you flare effect. This video shows the comparison between basic bodies with a normal dot tucks. You can see clearly the dot tucks is fitted, dot stitched, after that it is open, so it will give the fitting till stitching point. This video shows comparison between basic bodies and pleats. Basic bodies you have a full control from top to bottom. Pleat, only stitching happen at the waist level, then it will open, so it gives the fitting only at the waist level. This video shows the comparison between basic bodies and gathering. You can find more fullness under bust level. It is more or less flat and round shape on the bust area. This video shows the flare. So there is no control below bust level. It's open and lot of excess fabric found at the waist level. So all 4 garments are made from the same pattern, but gives the different fitting, so converted into different styles. Now putting all together, the middle one is the basic bodies, and you can see from dot tucks, pleats, gathering and flare, it's gradually the fitting changes. Dot is giving the best fit,
next dot tuck, next pleat, then gathering, and last one is flare. All 5 are made from same pattern, only changes in the stitching. This design is graduating dots. The dot length, it's gradually increasing from smaller to larger. You can use the basic bodies and convert dot into graduating dots. Let's see how to make graduating dots from your basic bodies in the coming sessions. Let's see how to make graduating dots. Use base dot sloper. Draw a slash line from center front neck to 1 inch away from apex point. Slash the lines. Draw parallel slash lines from shoulder and close waist dot. Spread half an inch at shoulder. Spread balance at the last slash line, which is nearer to armhole. Through the neckline. Reduce dot length by 1 inch. Trace the pattern as highlighted. Graduating dot pattern completed. Now we are going to learn how to make graduated dot. Graduated dot similar to cluster dots, but length of the dots will gradually increase or decrease to make a different designs. For this you can use waistline dot sloper. Mark A and B at the dot legs. And draw the horizontal line through bust point. Mark 1 inch away from the bust point and label as C. Mark center front neck as D. Now connect C to D. Then slash C to D. Then cut C2 center front line. Then slash bust line. Then decide how many dots you require at the shoulder level.
In this demonstration, I am going to show 4 dots. So I am marking 1 inch each. Divide equally. I need a 4 dots, so I divide equally to make a 4 dots. Connect the shoulder dot, the point near to the armhole, to the point C. Then draw the parallel lines. till it touches the plot line. Now I have drawn 4 plot lines. Now slash the plot line from shoulder to C to D. Leave 1/8. First close A to B. Pivot at the bust point. Close A to P, A to B. This will open the dot at the underarm. Pin it. Then spread gradually. Spread 1/2 inch of individual dots. Spread 1/2 inch here. spread half an inch again. The balance you can spread for the C. Since this dot goes near to the bust point, the more dot width will go here. Once you complete the spreading, pin it. Now we can trace the pattern. Here the neckline goes down, mark here, then use the French curve for truing. Start with 90-degree line, then use the French curve to draw the neck seam. Draw the armhole, draw the waist seam, then draw the dot legs, dot end points you mark 1 inch above the present dot length. Mark the bust point, then check whether you have marked everything, then remove the working pattern. Draw the dots. Draw the center front line. Draw the side seam line. That is the bust point. Now we can cut the pattern. For drawing the dot, leave 1 inch extra. Now we have to draw the dot. Mark midpoints. Draw the dot center lines. First crease the line which is nearer to center. Crease the center of the dot. Cup the pattern. Cup the pattern. Then draw a straight line. Then cut the shoulder line. Now you can see the dot length. It is gradually reducing from here to here. Now you learn how to convert a waistline dot to graduating dot.
This video shows how to stitch graduating dots. All the graduating dots has to be stitched first, then attach the shoulder and side seam. Once all stitching has been done, it will give the fitting as shown in the graphics. So dots are closed. Then shoulder length will match front and back. Then join it together and attach the side seam, which will form graduating dots. This is also giving similar fit like basic bodies, but in top portion you can find a little bit of excess fabric because of that graduating dots. This video shows the comparison between basic bodies and graduating dots. Below bust level is giving the same fit, but where the dots are there, it has a little bit of excess fabric than the basic bodies because of graduating dots. Otherwise, both are giving a similar fit. Use your own basic bodies or download front bodies from the download section and follow the instruction given to convert dot into graduating dots. The final pattern should look like the pattern shown in the video. You can also download the final pattern to check your pattern is correct. Use the basic block, create a graduating dots from the waist level as shown in the image. This design shows radiating dots. You can see that the dot coming from the neckline. There are 3 dots. The middle one goes towards the apex point, which has a maximum length. Then the side dots are gradually reduced, both the sides, and it's smaller in length. and the dots are not parallel, it is kind of radiation, some angles are there, called radiating dots. Let's see how to make pattern for these kind of dots. Now we are going to see how to make radiating dots at neckline. Use waist dot sloper. Label A and B at waist dot. Draw a slash line from mid of neck to bust point and label C. Draw a 1-inch perpendicular line from mid of the slash line on both the sides and label D and E. Mark half an inch away at neckline and draw a slash lines on both the sides as shown. Slash the lines. Close the waist dot by pivoting at the bust point and move A to B. Spread half an inch for first and third slash line. Spread balance at the middle slash line. Draw new dots as shown. Trace the pattern. Radiating dots completed. Now we are going to see how to make radiating dot. Radiating dot is the dot in which the center of dot length will be more than the side dots. Graduating dots, it is going gradually, but radiating dot center will be more, the sides will gradually reduce on the both sides. Now I am going to make a radiating dot at the mid of the neckline. For that you can take single waistline dot sloper, mark A and B, mark mid of the neckline, then mark C, then connect C to bust point. Then mark the midpoint of bust point to C. Make a perpendicular line. Mark 1 inch at the both the sides. At the neck level, mark half an inch at the both the sides. Mark D and E, F and G. Connect D to F, connect E to G, then E to bust point, then D to bust point. Then slash F D to bust point, G E to bust point. Do not cut till the bust point, stop 1/8 inch before. Then slash the center line also. Now we are going to close A to B. Close A to B so that it will open the dot at C, then pin it. Then pivot at the bust point, spread at F around half an inch. Pivot at the bust point, spread half an inch at F. The same way, spread half an inch at G.
Now mark the dot point at the middle here for the smaller dot, and reduce half an inch for the center dot. So the center dot will be bigger, the side dot will be smaller. Now we can trace the pattern. Trace all the corners. Trace the dot endpoints. Trace the dot legs. Mark the bust point. Draw the armhole. Draw the waistline. Make sure you marked necessary marking. Then remove the working pattern. Draw the center front line. Draw the side seam. Draw the shoulder seam. Draw the dot legs. Now we can cut the pattern. For truing, leave 1 inch extra. Then draw the midpoint of the dot legs. Connect to the dot endpoints. Then crease the dot. Crease the dot legs near to the center, then center of the dot legs. Then cup the pattern. Use the French curve to draw the neck shape. Now you can see in the pattern the center dot is bigger, the side dots are smaller. So now you learn how to make radiating dots.
This video shows how to stitch and the fitting of the radiating dots. Close all the dots in the front, back and attach the side seam, shoulder seam to finish the garment. Once you close all the stitches, it will give a fitting like this, and it is also giving a very nice fitting similar to the basic bodies. Now you can see from the side view angle the same stitching, closing the dots, attaching shoulder and side seam, and gives the fitting. This fit also similar to this fit. You can see the top you have a 3 dot, the middle one is longer dot which goes to the apex point, and 2 graduating dots, and bottom is fitting similar to the basic bodies. This video shows the comparison between basic bodies and radiating dots. The radiating dot will give little bit more round at the bust level than the basic dot. There are 3 dots instead of single dot, and only 1 dot pointing towards the bust point, other 2 dots are little away from the bust point, so you may get some round fitting. Use your basic bodies pattern or download front bodies pattern from the download section. Follow the instruction given and you should get the pattern shown in the image.
So download the final pattern from the download section to verify. Use your basic bodies pattern. Transfer the dots to radiating dots from the waistline as shown in the image. Draw the middle dot to the apex point and two side dot radiating, which is smaller in length. In this design, we are going to make parallel dots from the side seam. You can use the basic block pattern to make this pattern. Back is a normal. You can use the basic back. Both the dots closes nearby the apex point. There is no shoulder dot. Both shoulder dot and waist dot is transferred to parallel dots. The dot has a little curve, but both are parallel to each other. Let's see the instruction to make the parallel dots. Use waist and shoulder dot sloper. Mark 1.5 inch below armpit and label as E. Connect E to bust point slash E2 bust point slash A2 bust point. Pivot at bust point and rotate A to B. New underarm dot will be created at E. Reduce underarm dot length by 1/2 inch from bust point. Reduce waist dot length by 1/2 inch. Mark 1 inch above the side waist. Draw two curved parallel lines from the dot endpoints. Slash the curved line. Pivot at waist dot endpoint and close the waist dot. New dot will be formed. Pivot at underarm dot endpoint. Rotate and close the underarm dot will make a new dot. Trace the pattern as highlighted above. New pattern is created with parallel French dot. Make grind line parallel to center front. Now we are going to see how to make parallel dots. This will form a parallel dots, maybe a curve line or combination of curve and straight lines. You can do any designs you want, but both the dot legs will be in the parallel lines. In this, use waist and shoulder dot sloper. Mark A and B at the shoulder dot legs and C and D at the waist dot legs. Mark 1.5 inch below the armpit, then mark E. Draw a line from E to bust point. Slash the line. Slash bust point to A.
Then pivot at the bust point and move A to B. Move A to B. This will open dot at E. Then reduce the dot here by half an inch and waist dot by half an inch. Mark half an inch on the center line, mark half an inch inside. So that is going to be your dot end point. Then decide your style line. Now I am going to make a curve line from side seam. It can be any shape, combination of curve and straight lines, whatever the lines you want. For this I am marking 1 inch from the side waist, the second dot another 1 inch from the side waist. I am using the hip curve to make the shape. The bottom you connect with the waist dot end point, the other one you connect to underarm dot end point. Now slash the lines. To the dot point. Redraw the dot legs. Then fold the dots. Slash the dots.
Close the waist dot by moving C to D. It will open the dot here. Close the dot which forms at E. And secure with pins. Now you can see that the waist dot is converted here and the underarm dot is converted here. Since already we reduced the dot legs, you need not to do anything. Trace the pattern. First trace the corners. Then draw the armhole shape, draw the neckline shape, draw the dot legs, draw the waistline shape, mark the dot endpoints, make sure you mark all the necessary marking, then remove the working pattern. Connect center front line, connect shoulder line, now we can cut the pattern. For truing the dot, leave around 2 inches extra. First mark midpoint of the dot. Close the dot. Since the dot is not a straight line, you just fold only the starting point. Join as a straight line. Now parallel French dot has been made at the side seam. Now you learn how to make parallel dots.
This video shows the stitching and fitting of the parallel dots. First stitch the parallel dots together, then attach the side seam and shoulder seam to get the fit. Once all stitching has been done, it gives a very nice fitting like this, and it forms the parallel dot on the side. Now the same stitching view, close the dots, side seam, shoulder seam to get the fit. So regarding fitting, this is more or less gives the same fit as basic bodies, not much difference. The dots are going from the side. This video shows the comparison between basic bodies and parallel dot pattern. If you see side view, both are giving a similar fitting. Maybe that parallel dot gave little bit smoothness at the bust level because there are two dots and it is not exactly pointing towards the bust point. One dot is going towards bust point, another one little away from the bust point. So you may get little bit of roundness on the bust level. Otherwise both are giving very similar fit. Use your basic bodies pattern or download the pattern from download section and follow the instruction given step by step, and your final pattern will look like this. You can also download this final pattern from the download section to verify. Use the basic bodies and you can create a parallel dots from the waist level as shown in the sketch. The dot is little curved and pointing one dot is pointing towards the bust point, another is parallel to that. So try this exercise, and you can also try with the different options, maybe from armhole, neckline, etc. Asymmetrical dot. One dot comes from the mid of the armhole to the right side bust apex point. Another dot comes from the waist to left side apex point. So it is passing over the half of the pattern, so you cannot mirror it. So you have to take a full pattern and do this dot. Let's see how to make asymmetric dot pattern. Use single waist dot sloper. Draw a slash line from mid armhole to bust point. Slash the line and pivot at the bust point. Rotate C to D to close the dot. It will create dot at mid armhole. Mirror the pattern. Plot style line as required. Marked 1 inch from side waist to the bust point. Plot style line from 1 inch above the mid armhole dot to the bust point. Slash the plot lines. Pivot at bust point and rotate the pattern to close the armhole dot. It will create a dot at armhole to bust point. Pivot at bust point and rotate the pattern to close the mid armhole dot. It will create curved dot from waist to bust point. Trace the pattern as highlighted above. A new pattern is created with asymmetric dots. Mark grain line parallel to center front. Reduce the dot by 1 inch. Asymmetric dot draft completed. Now we are going to make asymmetric dots. Till now we have seen symmetric dots. These dots are equal on both left side and right side. Sometimes for design purpose we are making asymmetric dot. Now let us see how to make these kind of dots. For this you can start with 2 dot sloper, one at the waist, one at the shoulder. Now I want to convert these 2 dots to the mid-arm hole as a single dot. Till now we have seen slash and spread method. Now I am going to demonstrate how to make dot transfer in pivotal method. Since it is a symmetrical dot, I need both side of the pattern, both left front and right front. So I am taking a chart and folding it in the middle, then I can start tracing. In this pivotal transfer method, pivot the dot endpoints. Here the burst point is the dot endpoint. First pivot at the dot endpoints. Here burst point is my dot endpoint. Then decide where you want to transfer the dot. Now I am marking mid armhole. So I want to transfer both the dots to here. So first I am going to transfer the shoulder dot here. For this I am starting from this leg and transfer the dot. Then move this point to here by rotating. Then draw from this point to the another dot leg. Again start at center front waist to the dot leg, mark the dot leg, pivot this point and rotate till the next dot legs matches, then continue the drawing. Trace till where you want the dot mark. Then remove the pattern. Connect bus point to the dot point. Connect this bus point to dot point. Now we have transfer both shoulder dot and waistline dot to mid-arm hole by pivotal transfer method. Now you can cut and you can use it for asymmetrical dot. Now we have traced the pattern. Now I have a mid-arm hole dot, then its mirror open. Now mark 1 inch
from the side waist and mark 1 inch from the armhole, mark here and label A and B. Connect A to the bust point, connect B to the right side bust point. So now we marked plot style line. Now we can slash from B to bust point and A to bust point. Now pivot at the bust point and move the pattern and close the dot. Pin it. Similarly, close the dot here, so the dot will open at A. Pivot the dot end point, move the pattern and close here, so this will open the dot at A. Now we can trace the corners. Trace the dot ends, dot legs. Mark the center front line. Draw the armhole. Draw the neckline. Draw the waistline. For dot, from the middle, reduce 1 inch. Mark 1 inch inside and redraw the dot shape. Mark the bust points. Make sure you marked all the necessary marking, then remove the working pattern. Join the side seam. Join the shoulders. Join the side seam. Mark the center front line. Now we can cut the pattern. We have a dot at the waistline and arm hole, so don't cut right now. Cut the neckline.
Mark the midpoint of the dot. Cup the pattern. Now we made a symmetrical dot. The pattern is completed now.
This shows how to stitch and fitting of the asymmetrical dot. Two dots has to be closed first, then attach the shoulder and side seam to get the fit of the garment. So once you close, you will get a nice fit like this, and the grain line changes, that also you can notice from the graphics. In the above bust level it is vertical, then between these two dots it goes little bit of diagonal and coming vertical in the down because of this dot effect.
Regarding fitting, it is very similar to basic bodies. Back is normal. You can see that one dot goes from armhole to bust point. Then below you can see from waist point to bust point. This shows the comparison between basic bodies and the asymmetrical dots. Fit wise, there is no much difference between these two garments. Both may give the similar fit, but the design changes a lot. Use your basic bodies pattern or download the pattern from download section. Follow the instruction given and you should get the pattern shown like this. You can also download final pattern from the download section to verify it. Use your basic bodies and try to create a asymmetrical dot as shown in the sketch. One dot comes from the mid of the shoulder to bust point, another dot comes from the waist level to bust point. Little bit of curve, and you can also try with other variations. In this style, it shows intersecting dots. One main dot comes from the waist level to left side of apex, and another dot intersect the dot leg, and it's a smaller dot which intersects the existing dot leg. So this is called intersection dot. Back is normal. Let's see how to create this pattern. Let's see how to construct intersecting dot. Use mid-armhole dot sloper and mark A, B, C, D, E and F as shown above. Mark G 2 inches from right side waist. Plot a line from G to E. Mark H at the center front intersecting lines. Plot F to H. Slash the pattern from G to E and F to H. Pivot at E and rotate the pattern B to A. It will close the armhole dot and open the dot at G. Pivot at F and rotate the dot D to C. This will close right armhole dot and open at H. Trace the pattern as highlighted above. A new pattern is created with intersecting dots. Mark grind line parallel to center front. Reduce the dot from E and F by half an inch away from the bust point to get a smoother fit. Intersecting dot dropped completed. Now we are going to see intersecting dots. For this, use mid-armhole dot sloper and mark A, B,
C, D, E and F. Mark G, that is 2 inches from right side waist. Plot a line from G to E. Then mark H where it intersects center front. Then connect F to H. Slash the pattern from G to E. Not fully. Then H to F. Then pivot at E, move B to A so that dot will open at G. Pin it. Then pivot at F, move D to C, so it will open the dot at H. Now you can trace the pattern. Mark the dot legs. Reduce the dot by half an inch. Mark the center front line. Once you completed the tracing, remove the working pattern. Connect shoulder seam. Side seam. Connect the dots. Draw the dot leg. Draw the center front line. Fold the pattern on the center. To match the armhole and neck. Then mark the midpoint.
First mark the midpoint of right side dot. So if you close, it will form the dot leg. So here we cannot close the dot. We can give the seam allowance of half an inch, then cut. Now I am cutting ready. So in the production pattern you can give the seam allowances. Make sure the dot legs are equal, then close the dot leg and smooth the line. So now you learn how to make a symmetrical dot.
This shows how to stitch the intersecting dots. First you close the smaller dot, then close the bigger dot and attach the side seam and shoulder seam to get the fit. This shows the side view of the same stitching. Close the smaller dot and bigger dot, close shoulder and side seam to get the fit. This is also giving similar fit as basic bodies because the dots goes just below the apex point. This shows a comparison between basic bodies and the intersecting dots. You may notice there won't be much difference between these two fitting, but front side the style change a lot. You also notice that grain line of the center front. In the intersecting dot, till the bust level it is straight, after that it is turned into bias, whereas in the basic bodies it's straight from top to bottom. Use your basic bodies or download the basic bodies pattern from the download section. Follow the instruction given step by step. Once you completed, your pattern look like this. You may also download the final pattern from the download section to verify it. Use your basic bodies pattern and try to create an intersecting dot as shown in the image. Dots start from the mid of the shoulder to the apex point and create an intersecting dot from center front to left side of the apex point. You can also try with other variations, maybe from shoulder or neckline, like that. This shows dot tucks. In this, dot is used, but dot is not stitched to dot apex point. It stops in between, so off stitched only. So it will give the fitting only halfway, then balance will be open to get the dot tucks effect. Let's see how the fitting happen. So in this, the dot is not going to stitch fully, only half or wherever you required. Balance is same, you attach the shoulder and you attach the side seam. Normally the excess will go inside. For design effect you can take it outside also, but most of the time the dot excess will go inside. In this demonstration I am showing outside to better understanding. So only the dot, it will give the fitting where you have stitched. Balance it will be open, so it will be more rounded and smooth shape below the bust level. Normally tucks has a uniform width from top to bottom, but dot tucks has a shape. Bottom width will be more, top will be less, similar to the dot. So this is called dot tuck. You can see the fitting. It fits only till the stitches. After that it's open, so you can find lot of excess fabric below under bust level. This shows the comparison between basic bodies and the dot tucks. You can clearly see that there is excess fabric below the bust level because the dot is not stitched till the bust level. So it will give a little bit of smooth round, little bit of excess fabric below bust level. In this design you can find pleat at the waist level. The dot is not stitched at all, only bottom it stitched, so it will form a pleat. So dot is converted into pleat in this design. So it gives the fitting only at the bottom and the fabric is open on the top. Let's see how the pleat formation happen while stitching. the dot has been removed, only bottom is going to stitch, and attach the shoulder and side seam and close the back dot as usual. Just close only the bottom, and you can see lot of excess fabric found below the bust level, and it will form a crease. So in this you can see the fitting, much excess fabric found under bust level, and bust fitting is more smooth because of the excess fabric. So when you want more fullness, use pleat instead of dot. This shows the comparison between basic bodies and pleat. So pleat is giving more excess fabric, extra ease below bust level.